They told me Grandma's passing was peaceful. They said she went to sleep one night and never woke up, calm, serene, and smiling. But if that were true, why did she leave behind a single sealed letter addressed only to me? And why did everyone in my family panic when I said I wanted to read it? Hey, before I start, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because what I found inside that letter changed everything I thought I knew about my family. So, here's what really happened. Grandma, or Margaret, as everyone called her, was the center of our family. Graceful, always in control, and honestly, a little intimidating. She had this quiet power about her, like she knew more than she ever said. Growing up, I always felt like she treated me differently from my cousins. Not bad, just different. She'd pull me aside during family dinners, whisper small things like, "You see more than the others," or "One day you'll understand why." I never thought much of it until the day of her funeral. After the ceremony, everyone gathered at her old countryside house, the one that always smelled faintly of roses and wood polish. That's when Uncle Ray called everyone into the living room to divide her belongings. He was the self-appointed executor, of course, even though Grandma never trusted him. Boxes were opened, jewelry was passed around, and it all felt transactional, cold. But then Aunt Clara pulled out a small ivory-colored envelope from one of Grandma's drawers. She looked at the handwriting and froze. "It's addressed to you," she said, glancing up at me. The room went silent. My mom immediately said, "Maybe that's personal. We'll open it later." Her voice was steady, too steady. I nodded, but something felt wrong. Grandma's handwriting, neat, looping, elegant, had my name written in full, "To Emily, for your eyes only." I asked if I could take it home, but Uncle Ray suddenly snatched it from Clara's hand. "We should make sure it's nothing important to the estate first. Legal reasons." Legal reasons? For a letter? That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Grandma's face at the funeral, peaceful, but with something unreadable behind her expression, like she was still holding on to a secret. So, the next morning, I drove back to her house alone. The front door was locked, but I still had my spare key from when I used to visit her on weekends. The house was silent, the kind of silence that hums in your ears. I went straight to her study. And there, in the corner of the desk, under a pile of old papers, was a duplicate of that ivory envelope. My heart dropped. It had my name on it again, same ink, same handwriting, but this one had been opened. Inside was a letter written in neat, shaky cursive. "Emily, if you're reading this, then the truth has finally reached you, one way or another. There are things your mother and uncle swore would never come to light, but they forget that truth has a way of surviving, even when people try to bury it. I kept records, Emily. I kept everything. And you deserve to know who you really are." My hands were trembling. The letter ended with a line that made my stomach twist. "Follow the keys. The answers are in the attic." Just then, I heard a car pull into the driveway. I peeked through the window. It was my mom, alone. Her expression wasn't grief. It was anger, determined, like she already knew I'd come back here. She got out of the car, slammed the door, and headed toward the front steps. I froze, letter still in my hand. My heartbeat was pounding so hard I could hear it echo in my ears. I didn't know what scared me more, what I might find in the attic, or what my mom would do if she caught me trying. As I crept toward the staircase, floorboards creaking under my feet, I could hear my mom's keys jangling outside. The front door lock turned, and that's when I realized Grandma's secrets weren't just about the past. They were about me. The moment the front door opened, I slipped behind the staircase, holding my breath so hard my chest hurt. I could hear my mom's heels clicking against the wooden floor, slow and deliberate. "Emily?" she called out, her tone calm, but too calm. The kind of calm that hides fury underneath. I didn't answer. I waited. My pulse was racing. The letter in my hand felt heavier with every second. She walked into the study. I heard the creak of Grandma's desk chair, then silence. I peeked just enough to see her standing there, staring at the open drawer. She noticed it instantly, the one where I'd found the letter. "Damn it," she whispered under her breath. That's when I realized she knew about it. She knew what Grandma had written to me, and she'd come here to make sure I didn't find it. My fingers tightened around the envelope. I didn't wait any longer. The second she turned her back, I darted quietly up the stairs. Every step groaned, but I didn't stop. When I reached the attic door, I hesitated. It was locked, just like Grandma said. But hanging on the hook nearby were dozens of old keys, brass, iron, rusted, all tangled together. I didn't have time to test each one. I just grabbed the entire ring and started trying them one by one. The second key clicked. I pushed the door open. Dust swirled through the air like tiny ghosts. The room was exactly how I remembered it. Stacked boxes, old photo albums, the smell of cedar and thyme. But something new stood out. A wooden chest, small but elegant, sat in the middle of the floor. Unlike everything else, it wasn't dusty. Someone had cleaned it recently. It had Grandma's initials carved on the top. M-A-H. My heart was beating so hard it hurt. I knelt down, used one of the smaller keys, and the lock popped open with a metallic snap. Inside were piles of papers, letters, and a small black notebook wrapped in faded ribbon. I opened it, and what I saw made my stomach drop. They weren't diary entries. They were records. Dates, conversations, photographs, notes about my mom and uncle, transactions, meetings, hidden accounts, and next to each entry were initials that matched my mom's handwriting. The first line read, "Ray and Linda agree to keep this quiet until she's old enough to stop asking questions." I didn't even know what that meant, but every part of me screamed that I wasn't supposed to see it. Downstairs, I heard footsteps again. My mom was moving faster this time, searching. Then her voice, sharper now, "Emily, I know you're here." I froze. She stood in the doorway, breathing hard, eyes fixed on my hand clutching the notebook. She said, "Give that to me, please." What is this? What did Grandma mean by who I really am? Her face went pale. "You don't understand what you're doing right now." "Then explain it," I demanded. But she didn't answer. Instead, she stepped forward slowly, like she was approaching a wild animal. I backed away. Grandma left this for me. She wanted me to know. Her voice cracked, but not from sadness, from fear. "She was wrong to involve you. You're not supposed to—" She stopped mid-sentence, realizing she'd said too much. And that's when I knew. Grandma wasn't the only one keeping secrets. I clutched the notebook tighter and whispered, "I'm not giving it back." Her expression hardened instantly. The calm facade vanished, replaced with something cold, calculated. "Fine, then you'll have to live with what you find in there." She turned around and walked out, closing the door behind her. But before it shut completely, she added, "Just remember, once you open that, there's no going back." Her footsteps faded, but I stayed frozen, notebook pressed against my chest. I didn't even know what she meant, but the fear in her voice told me everything. Whatever was inside this notebook, it wasn't just family gossip or some scandal from the past. It was dangerous. That night, I couldn't sleep. I went back to my apartment and locked the door. I placed the notebook on my desk and just stared at it. My hands shook every time I reached for the ribbon. Finally, around 2 a.m., I untied it. The first page was blank. The second had one sentence written in Grandma's neat handwriting. "If you're reading this, then the blood truth is yours to uncover." Underneath, taped to the page, was a small photograph. It was of my mother, holding a baby. But the name written on the back wasn't mine. It said Charlotte. I whispered the name out loud. It didn't feel familiar. It didn't belong to me. But as I kept flipping through the pages, that name kept appearing again and again, in medical forms, legal letters, and one chilling document at the very end, a birth certificate. And that's when it hit me. Grandma wasn't warning me about her. She was warning me about my mom. For a long time, I just sat there, staring at the birth certificate under the desk lamp's glow. The name Charlotte Marie Hayes was printed clearly in bold. Same birth date as mine, same hospital, same doctor. Everything matched except the name of the mother. It didn't say Linda Hayes. It said Margaret Adams, my grandmother. I felt like the air had been punched out of me. My mom, or whoever she really was, wasn't even listed on it. My head spun, my chest felt tight, and I had to keep reminding myself to breathe. What did this mean? Had Grandma adopted me? Or had my mom stolen me? The sound of my phone buzzing snapped me out of my thoughts. Unknown number. For a second, I hesitated, but I answered. "Emily?" The voice was low, male, a little shaky. "This is going to sound strange, but I think we need to talk about Margaret." My throat went dry. "Who is this?" "Name's Ray. I used to work for your grandmother." My grandmother's old caretaker? I vaguely remembered him. Quiet man, always polite. "What do you mean, work for?" I asked. "She wasn't just an old lady with a big house, Emily," he said quietly. "There were things she was keeping hidden, for your sake. Things your mother didn't want anyone to find." My hand gripped the phone tighter. "You know about the letter?" A long pause. Then, "So she finally sent it, huh?" "I found it after she passed," I whispered. Ray sighed. "Then she must have known the truth would come out eventually. Listen, meet me tomorrow at the old diner near Willow Creek Road. 10 a.m. I'll explain everything. Just don't tell your mother." Before I could respond, he hung up. I stared at my phone for what felt like hours, wondering if I should go. But the next morning, I was already there, sitting at a corner booth, watching the rain smear against the window. 10 minutes passed, then 15, then 30. No sign of him. Finally, a man in his 60s walked in. Faded jacket, cautious eyes. He scanned the diner, spotted me and nodded, before sliding into the seat across from me. "You look just like her." "Like who?" He smiled faintly. "Margaret." The waitress brought us coffee. He didn't touch his, just folded his hands and stared at me. "I worked for her for 25 years. I was there the day you were born." I blinked. "That's not possible. My mom—" He cut me off. "Your mom isn't who you think she is." My stomach dropped. He continued, his voice barely above a whisper. "Margaret's daughter, Linda, couldn't have children. She was devastated. When Margaret found out you'd been born under unusual circumstances, she made a choice. She let Linda raise you as her own. But when Margaret realized Linda had started hiding things from her, lying, covering up paperwork, she tried to stop it." I shook my head, trying to piece it all together. "Stop what?" Ray hesitated, looking toward the window as if he was afraid someone might be listening. "Linda wasn't just hiding a lie. She was hiding what she'd done to make that lie possible." "What did she do?" I asked, my voice trembling. He opened his mouth to answer, but before he could, the door of the diner slammed open. I turned just in time to see my mother, standing there, soaked from the rain, eyes burning with fury. "Emily, get up." Everyone in the diner turned to look. My heart pounded. "Mom, what are you doing here?" Her tone was ice. "We're leaving, now." Ray stood, trying to calm her. "Linda, she deserves to know the truth." She glared at him. "You should have stayed out of this." Then she turned to me. "You have no idea what you're getting yourself into." Her voice shook, but not with fear, with control, authority. I stood up slowly. "If you want me to leave with you, then tell me why Grandma's name is on my birth certificate." Her face went completely still. The diner went silent. Ray whispered, "Go on, Linda. Tell her." Mom's jaw tightened. Then she said, almost to herself, "Margaret always had a talent for twisting the truth." I stared at her. "So you're saying it's all fake?" She looked me dead in the eye. "I'm saying Margaret wasn't your savior, Emily. She was your captor." The entire world seemed to stop moving. "What?" "Ask her lawyer. Ask anyone who really knew her. She wasn't protecting you. She was keeping you." I felt dizzy. None of it made sense. My hands trembled as I grabbed the notebook from my back and opened to the first page again. I wanted to find proof, something to make sense of this chaos. But then I noticed something I hadn't before, a faint impression beneath the handwriting, like someone had written on the next page and the ink pressed through. I tilted it toward the light and letters started to form. "If she finds this before you do, run." It was Grandma's handwriting again. I looked up at Mom, my entire body cold. "Run from who?" I asked quietly. She didn't answer. Ray whispered, "From her." My mother's expression didn't change, but her hand slowly slid into her coat pocket. "Emily, let's not make this harder than it needs to be." I took a step back. "What's in your pocket?" Her voice lowered. "Car keys." But the look in her eyes told me she was lying. Ray's voice trembled. "Don't do this, Linda." "Stay out of this," she snapped. And then I did the only thing I could think of. I bolted toward the back door of the diner, notebook clutched tight in my hand. Behind me, I heard my mother shout my name, the sound echoing through the rain. When I burst outside, I didn't stop running until I reached my car. My fingers shook as I tried to fit the keys into the ignition. As I drove off, headlights flashed behind me. It was her. She was following me. And in that moment, I realized Grandma's warning wasn't just about the past, it was about right now. The rain came down in sheets as I tore down the road, my knuckles white against the steering wheel. Headlights flashed in my rearview mirror, steady, relentless, closer every second. My mother's car. My pulse hammered in my ears. I didn't even know where I was going, just away. Away from the woman who'd raised me, the woman who now looked at me like a stranger she needed to stop at any cost. I swerved into an old back road that curved through the woods, my tires skidding across wet gravel. Finally, I spotted the faded sign for Willow Creek Storage, the same name Grandma had scribbled on one of the back pages of her notebook. It felt like a message, a direction, maybe a final clue. I slammed the car into park, grabbed the notebook, and ran toward the small row of rusted storage units. Each one looked older than the next. I checked the locks, desperate, until I found one that had a number I recognized. 17. My birthday. The padlock was old, but the key Grandma had taped inside the notebook's back cover fit perfectly. I turned it, yanked the door open, and the smell of dust and time hit me. Inside were boxes, hundreds of them, some labeled with my name, others with adoption records, private files, and Hayes Medical. Lightning flashed, and I saw something glint in the corner, a small silver recorder. I pressed play. Grandma's voice filled the dark room, shaky but determined. If you're hearing this, Emily, it means I didn't get the chance to explain. I did what I had to do to keep you safe. Linda wasn't supposed to be a mother. She was supposed to be a guardian, but she crossed a line. And I could never undo what she'd done. My heart pounded. Crossed a line? What did that mean? The truth is, your real mother was one of my nurses, a kind woman who trusted Linda too much. When Linda found out the woman was expecting a child she didn't want to raise, she made a deal behind my back. A deal that went wrong. I felt sick. Grandma's voice continued, trembling. I tried to stop her, but she lied to everyone, the hospital, the agency, even the authorities. I took you in to protect you from what she'd become, but Linda doesn't let go of control easily. If she's found you, you need to run. I froze when I heard a sound behind me. Soft footsteps splashing in the puddles outside. Then a voice. Emily? Her voice. My mother. I turned off the recorder and backed away, my heart racing. Mom, what is this? Tell me the truth. Who am I? She stepped into the dim light, her hair soaked, her expression unreadable. You're my daughter. No, I said. You stole me. Her eyes narrowed, just slightly. That's what she told you, didn't she? That I took you? That I lied? Stop twisting it, I snapped. I heard Grandma's voice. I saw the records. She sighed, her tone eerily calm. Then you should know the truth. I did take you, but not because I wanted to hurt you. I took you because I couldn't let her keep you. What are you talking about? She was obsessed, Emily, Mom said, stepping closer. She couldn't let go of anything, not the past, not the control. She forged documents, bribed hospital staff. You were never safe with her. Everything she told you was to make herself look like the savior. My hands shook. You're lying. Am I? She asked softly. Think about it. Why would she hide you under a different name? Why make you believe I was dangerous when all I ever did was raise you, feed you, love you? For a moment, doubt flickered. I wanted to believe her. She had been the one who kissed my bruises, tucked me in at night, held my hand through every storm. But then I remembered the letter. Grandma's exact words. If she finds this before you do, run. Then why the letter, Mom? Why would Grandma warn me? She hesitated, just long enough for me to see something flicker in her eyes. Guilt. And that was enough. I darted past her and sprinted toward the back of the storage unit, shoving open a side door that led into the woods. Branches whipped my face as I ran, my breath burning, until I reached the clearing near the old road. That's when I heard tires screech, headlights again, and the same black car pulling up behind me. Mom stepped out slowly, her voice cutting through the rain. You don't get it, do you? I had to keep you. You were never supposed to find out who you are. I backed away, clutching the notebook. Then who am I? She took a step closer, her face twisted with something between anger and desperation. You're hers, her mistake, her legacy. Lightning flashed, illuminating her expression. Not fury, but panic, like someone losing control for the first time in years. Then, suddenly, another car appeared behind hers. Red and blue lights. Sirens. It was Ray. He must have called the police. My mom froze. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. She whispered, "You shouldn't have done that." The officer shouted for her to step away, and she did. Slowly, hands raised, rain streaming down her face. As they led her to the car, she turned back to me. You think you know the truth now? She said, her voice breaking. Wait until you read the rest of her files. Her words haunted me long after she was gone. Back home, I spent the next few days sorting through Grandma's boxes. Hundreds of pages, old letters, hidden documents, and in one of the sealed envelopes marked Final Instructions, I found a single photograph. A woman who looked exactly like me. Same eyes, same face. On the back of the photo, one sentence was written in Grandma's handwriting. Your mother's name was Rachel. She was never supposed to disappear. And beneath it, one final line underlined twice. Don't trust anyone who claims to have raised you. I stared at it for hours, feeling the world tilt under me. My so-called mother was gone. My grandmother had died with her secrets, and the only real proof of my identity came from a face in a photograph, a face I couldn't forget. That night, I packed my bag, locked the house, and drove out of town. Because maybe Grandma was right. Maybe the truth wasn't in her letters or her lies. Maybe the truth was still out there, waiting for me to find it. And I wasn't stopping until I did.